So thank y'all first and foremost for taking the time to still come and learn today. I know I did start a little bit late. This week has been extremely busy just with all of the launch pads and traveling. And I'm actually going to be traveling for the entire second half of the year. So I've been extremely busy. I do apologize, but I still wanted to come and fulfill my duties. I actually thought I dropped a message to cancel today's meeting, but when I realized I didn't, I was like, all right, I'm still going to come through and teach. So it is just going to be an open forum session. I mean, the first question that's actually in the chat says, when using Pickpocket, when do you get into the trade? As soon as you see the candle forming. So if anyone else has questions about Pickpocket as well, just drop ones in the chat. And again, any questions that I see, make sure that the questions are going to everybody, just in case anybody has the same question. And give me 1 second. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. And when you guys can see my screen, just drop some ones in the chat. I have not shared it yet. I just need to make sure all my things are working because Zoom has been acting kind of funny on my end. All right. So I'm now sharing my screen. When y'all can see my screen, drop some threes in the chat. Okay, thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Shay. All right, so Pickpocket, typically when you're using any strategy, you kind of just want to give it a little bit of time to form. And this is one reason why we want to use 5-minute candles. If you're using a 1-minute candle, you may actually not have enough time to do the complete analysis, especially as a new trader or somebody who's not completely comfortable trading on your own. So to access all of the strategies for anybody who may be new, and you've been getting on the live sessions, but you're ready to start clearing on your own, you're just going to go to goliberty.im, right, which is the IM Academy website where all of our the main products are featured. Once you get to this screen, you're going to click strategies at the top left corner, and then you're going to select Pickpocket. This is a strategy I like because it's very, very, very easy to read, and it highlights two of the most important things that we want to pay attention to.
In front of your tablet.
Can everybody put themselves on mute?
Over here. Over here. In front of your tablet, I said.
Guys, please make sure that your mics stay on mute. So once you actually come to the Pickpocket strategy, you're going to select the currency pair that you want to trade. So I'm just going to go to Euro USD just for example purposes. And whichever currency pair that you've selected on your broker, you want to make sure that you're looking at the same thing on your scanner, right? Because the broker is where we trade. The scanner is where we do our analysis. So I'm going to go to Euro USD and I'm going to select 5 minutes. And again, the reason why I want 5 minutes instead of 1 minute is because I want 5 minutes for the trade to develop, right? I have 1 minute to make a decision, but 5 minutes for the trade to develop. I always say, think about it like going out to a restaurant. If somebody just handed you the menu and they said, order something right now, you have 60 seconds. You would just be like, I don't know. But if somebody gave you the menu and they said, I'll be back in 5 minutes, take some time to think about what you want. And when I come back, you should be ready. You're going to say, okay, that's fine, right? So if you would want 1 minute to make a decision, drop a 1 in the chat. But if you prefer 5 minutes to make a big decision, right? This is about your money, right? Drop some 5s in the chat. All right, awesome. So since we know that we want the candle to take some time to develop, we need to have time for it to develop those highs and lows. If I'm looking at a 5-minute candle, I can assume, let's see, hold on. If I'm looking at a 5-minute candle, I can literally assume that within that 5 minutes, within the first 2 minutes, the candle is going to form its high and its low. So to answer your question, you don't want to get into the trade as soon as you see the candle forming. I would give it about 30 seconds to a minute so that it could form that high and low. Because remember, no matter which candle you're using, right? No matter which candle you're using or which strategy you're using, you're always going to want to put the high. You're going to want to put a horizontal line at the top of that candle and at the bottom of that candle, no matter what. So we can see that a new candle is about to form. Time has expired. Now, if I was to just find an entry point like this, let's just say if I was to just do this, right? Just put my line right there. Can everybody put themselves on mute? I'm just going to have to mute everybody. All right, so we can see that this candle is forming, but sometimes you'll know, let's see who asked the question. Like sometimes you know how the candle will go from red to blue, from red to blue, from red to blue. That's what you want to avoid, right? So Shay, we're going to give this candle until about 4 minutes, right? Or maybe 3 minutes and 30 seconds, because at that point it should have formed, right, a high, which is either going to be a flat top or a wick at the top. And it should have formed a low, which is going to be, at least we see a wick at the bottom, right? So look, we see the candle went from red to blue. The candle actually did not form a wick at the top yet. It looked like it's getting there, right? But let's see what happens by 3 minutes and 30 seconds, because that's typically when I'm trying to make my move, right? But do you guys see how between the 5 minutes, right, and the 3 minute and 30 seconds that the candle, and I'll circle it too for anybody who may not be seeing what I'm talking about, how within that minute and 30 seconds, the candle formed this little wick at the top and this little wick at the bottom so far, right? If you guys can see that, drop a 1 in the chat. And this is why you don't want to take the trade right away, because let's just say, right, I didn't have that top wick yet. And let's just say I would have put my line right here, right? I would have put my line right there for a sell because that's where the market was previously at. I would have had a higher probability of getting spiked out because price has already went above that line, right, and created a new high. So you don't want to get in right away. You want it to form that high and form that low so that you can put those horizontal lines. And just to make it a little bit clear, I typically keep the lines black, but I'm going to change the color so y'all can see what I mean. And look, right, we see the candle has even broken past that resistance again, right? So we just going to do that. So it's always going to do that, right? It's a little bit under our time, but that's not bad because it did come back down. So if we would have got into a trade, we would be in profit now, but it would have been out of profit for about 2 seconds because the candle went higher than our initial entry point. So we can look at this and we can say 753 or higher for a sell, right? Depending on your broker. And that's just based on where the line is placed, y'all. Obviously, if it's still going up, I'm pretty sure this is a buying market. Let me just check. And this is why you got to check your currency strength, because if I check Euro USD, right, it looks like I'm pretty sure the Euro was down and now it's picking up strength because the market is going up. But either way, you want those wicks to form first. If that makes it clearer, want the wicks to form first before you find your entry. So we can see that we should be able to get in for a sell around 785 or higher, right? 785 or higher for that sell, and the buy is looking like 710 or lower. So if that answered your question, Shay, just drop a yes in the chat. Or if that makes sense, y'all, as to why you don't want to get into the trade right away, drop a yes in the chat. All right, then Justin said, on pocket option, where do you see the buying and selling market watch? I would still take a 1 minute trade. When you're analyzing on the 5 minute, you can actually get into a 5, 3, or 1 minute trade. And let me see if I can demonstrate what I mean by that. So it's a minute left on that candle. My sell is at 770. My buy is at 710. So pretty much, let's just say I put my thing on 1 minute. Wait, I'm just trying to find lower entry point so I can do this example for y'all. All right, 743 or 710 or lower. So I can get in because I'm doing a 5 minute analysis. I'm waiting for 710 or lower, right? I can get in for a buy for 1 minute. I can also get in for a 2 minute buy. I can also get in for a 3-minute buy. I could also get in for a 5-minute buy, right? Because the analysis, and look, all these trades, when did I get in right here? This one is at 708. That's the highest one, but I would expect the trades to move back into profit simply because if you're doing a 5-minute analysis, you can actually get in on anything from 1 to 5 minutes, right? You can get in on the trade anywhere from 1 to 5 minutes. So that's going to be completely up to you. So, all right. Oh, so the market watch for pocket option. So on pocket option, the market watch is this bar right here, right? Typically on pocket option, your pocket option will look like this. Let me just take it back to the basics for people who have not changed their colors. Sorry, 1 second. Oh, here it is. So your screen may look a little bit like this. And your market watch should be right here, right? Your market watch should be right here at the top of your bars down here. And if it's not, you want to click these 3 dots right here and you want to turn on the market watch, right? So it's 3 different things. There's social trading, there's market watch, and there's the trade monitor. We only want to make sure that the market watch is the one that has the check mark by it, right? And also, if you don't want your panel at the bottom, this is how it starts. There's a little arrow to the left of the sell button. You can just click it and it'll move it to the right, and that'll make your market watch a little bit smaller, right? And this is a final confirmation. Like, you don't want to use this confirmation first. You want this to be one of the last confirmations, just because pocket option does tend to lag, and we want to make sure that everything is up to date. So that's how you would turn that on. All right, so another person said, when applying horizontal lines, do it on the previous candle for entry points or at a history candle. When you're placing your horizontal lines, I typically only focus on the candle that's forming, unless that candle has not formed a high and a low within the first minute and a half. So let's just say on this current candle right here, we see that it has a low, right? We see that it has a high, right? And it's literally the very top of the candle or the wick and the very bottom of the candle or the wick, right? So we put our horizontal lines at the top of this candle and at the bottom of this candle because this candle has already started forming its high and its low. And again, if you need help on what candle you should be focusing on, you can add the VVS method kind of to the strategy. You just want to add 2 vertical lines, right? You're going to add one to the left of the current candle, and you will add one to the right of the current candle. Only if it's not in between these 2 lines, you pretty much are not going to pay attention to it, right? You're pretty much not going to pay attention to it. So you literally have a box to focus on. You have the high for this one particular candle. You have the low for this one particular candle. Yeah, then you would just count your confirmations. 1, 2 for the sell. See what your currency strength is doing. For Euro USD, the Euro is weaker. USD is picking up. So we would sell again, which we confirmed because it's a red candle. And the reason why you're putting these horizontal lines is because they're actually giving you your entry points. If you're boxing this candle in and that red line is giving you the last place that it sold, and this blue line is giving you the last place that it bought, it just makes it so much easier. And we can see this market is continuing to drop, right? Even past our support. So we would just lower it. So we know we sell at 687 or higher. We buy at 580 or lower, right? And this is what the horizontal lines tell us. Wherever you place it, that's where price is going to be. If you place it right there, price is going to be 743 or higher. But since we only need 1 point to clear HFX, we only want to know where price went the highest in the last 5 minutes and where price went the lowest in the last 5 minutes to create our own support and resistance. If that makes sense, y'all, drop a 1 in the chat. And although 5-minute analysis are just better, if you do find that, let's just say we are waiting for the market to get all the way back up to 689 for a sell, that could take a while. In that case, you would look at it on the 1 minute, right? And of course, that's just to find an even tighter entry point. And this is once you get more comfortable. So you can put your 2 vertical lines, right? One to the left of the candle, current candle only, one to the right of the current candle, right? I can take my red line, move it to the top of that candle only, right? And move it to the bottom of that candle only. So now I've created a box. And I still have my selling entry point at 674, right? Depending on what your broker is, you may have to add a few points. And then I also have my buying entry at 653. And depending on what your broker on, you may have to add a few points. So for me, because I'm using pocket option, my sell would be 679 or higher, and my buy would be 655 or lower, right? Another candle forming. Move your lines. Right? We got 679 or higher for a sell, 655 or lower for a buy. And again, that's just based on tracking this candle and what my horizontal lines are telling me. We see candle would have broke past the resistance and created a higher high. Look at that, y'all. All right. You just keep up with the current candle. If the current candle moves up, your lines move up. If the current candle keeps dropping, your line keeps dropping. All right, so I'm gonna take another question. Well, if that makes sense, y'all, if boxing in the candle makes sense and you can see what's going on, just drop a yes in the chat. Okay, Brianna said, let's say you find your entry point, but it doesn't get back there within 5 minutes. Do you start over with the new candle or keep that entry point? Oh, I think I answered this question already. You always start on the most recent candle. That's why you need 5 minutes, because it's definitely going to revisit that point in the next 5 minutes. Now, let's look at this. Let's look at this, for example. Let me zoom out. Where's the other black line? Intoxicated. All right, so we're going to focus on the most recent candle. Right, I got my little VVS's, right? My little vertical lines. Where does that line keep going? Sorry, y'all, my line keep disappearing. So we're going to look at this candle. We're going to look to the left of the candle and to the right of the candle. So we only focusing on this candle in between these two lines, y'all. If it's not in between those two lines, it literally does not matter. So within the first minute and a half, maximum 2 minutes, it usually doesn't take that long, we're going to put the horizontal line at the top of the candle, right, which has already formed, and at the bottom because it is going to reach that point. We just need to know if we're buying or selling, right? If we see a red candle, that's a confirmation for a buy. If we see a blue candle, that's a confirmation for a sell. If you're using Pickpocket and the red candle is closer to the top line, that's another confirmation for a sell. If your blue candle is closer to your bottom line, that's a confirmation for a buy. So once you actually put your candle in a box, you already have your selling entry point, right, which will be your top line, and you already have your buying entry point, which would be your bottom line. Once you put those lines on the chart, those are your entry points. The next question. Okay, I answered that question. So you wait until the candle is fully formed and then use that candle to make the lines? Essentially, yes. It's not that the candle is fully formed because it won't be fully formed until price actually closes, but it is about waiting until the candle creates the high and the low so that you can know where to buy or where to sell. The market watch is just your probability of clearing the trade. Let's say, for example, if we were going to use this red candle right here, we had all the confirmations for a sell. Once we come back here, we would say, what is my probability of clearing this trade right now? And if you have a 97% sellers and you're going for a sell, you have a 97% chance of clearing that trade. If you had all your confirmations for a buy and you wanted to go for a buy, I would not go for the buy because I only have 3% buyers, right? So when I'm using the market watch, I literally ask myself, what probability do I have of clearing this trade? So if I was going for the sell and the market watch is in my majority, right, I would say at least more than 50%, right, then you can go for the trade, right? You can go for the trade. And of course, this would change with every currency pair. Like, let's say I'm going to be looking at, which I'm not really realistically, but let's say I'm looking at GBP CAD, right? And I got all my confirmations for a sell on GBP CAD, right? Let's just say I did my analysis and it told me to sell at 795 or higher, right? I would feel confident about that because look, I have 93%, I have 97% sellers in the market. So I didn't get in. So if the market is telling me to sell and I have a higher number of sellers, I'm going to feel more confident about getting into that sell, as y'all can see, right? I'm going to feel a lot more confident. Like, even though I didn't have time to do 100% analysis, I know that if there are more sellers in the market, I increase my probability of clearing. Now, the reason why you do not only want to use the market watch, because I can hear somebody thinking right now, well, I'm just going to use that to clear more trades. No, that's not going to make any sense because this is only one confirmation and you need at least 3 solid confirmations, right, in order to know if the trade is truly going to be successful, right? If the trade is truly going to be successful. Now, of course, this market is going to go in my favor. I'm looking at a bunch of other things and I can assess this really quickly, but I also know that the market watch tells me my probability of clearing that trade, right? So Shay, if that makes sense, y'all, how to use the market watch, just drop a yes in the chat. All right, awesome. So it's making sense. I mean, as you guys can see, this trade is, I don't know if it closed yet, but all right, so we can see that this trade is still in profit. It's a 5-minute trade. Oh, okay, so that's why it's a 5-minute trade, y'all. So of course it's gonna take some time to develop, but you could have gotten into this trade. Where did we get into this trade at 798? All right, so I'm gonna try to get the same entry point on, or I'm gonna try to get the same entry point on a 1, on a 2. Well, I'm just getting into sales now, so y'all can see that you can take the trade on any time frame. What's this? 3, 5, 5, 1. So yeah, y'all. Yeah, now, well, we didn't do analysis for this trade, but you can analyze the trade in the 5 minutes and take it on all time frames. So yeah, that's that. And we don't really have too much time. I could probably answer one more question because SBC is having a live session in the next 2 minutes, but we know they're going to take about 5 minutes to get started. So if anybody else has a final question, I'll just go ahead and answer that now, and then I'll post this in the chat for y'all later. And nobody should have taken these. Hopefully nobody took these trades because I didn't even look at my scanner. I was just showing you guys the market watch, right? All right. I'll give it about 30 more seconds. If nobody else has a question, I will wrap this session up and post this video in the chat when it's done. All right, you're welcome, Jessica. You're welcome. And of course, if anybody has any mentees that would love to get into the channel so that they can learn as well, or watch any of the previous videos, just tell them to hit me up so that I could personally send them the link. I just do like to know each person who's in the chat. Don't share it yourself. I don't mind if you share the videos, but the actual link itself, I just ask you not to do that. And of course, if anybody needs a one-on-one or more help or attention outside of the group sessions, just send me a text and we could definitely set something up, or contact me on Instagram. So here is my information. And yeah, I look forward to talking to y'all. Have a great weekend, family. Somebody said they friend inboxed me. Who is your friend? And I feel like I've gotten back to everybody except for the people who hit me on Instagram today. All right. If it's on Instagram within the last 24 hours, I have not gotten back to those people, but everybody else should be fine. But I will double check. Thank you for letting me know. And yes, Alvin, I post the full recording in the chat. But have a good weekend, everyone. I'll see you guys on Sunday.